It is Isaiah Intelligence Cycle, and I am going to make my NFL division predictions. We're gonna go and just gonna tackle the NFC conference side, and we're gonna start with the NFC North and then the NFC South. I'm just gonna do my predictions on which teams believe will win a division, and I'm gonna give you my reasons why. So we're gonna start with my division, the NFC North, from the Bears, Lions, Packers, and Vikings. Now, this division is pretty much gonna be, if not that, in the NFC West, which I'll do another couple days from now, will be the toughest division out here. And I like a lot of the additions, but let's start with the two teams that I believe will make a run for the postseason. And we're first gonna start off with my Detroit Lions. And well, I didn't really like the losses that we had. We lost Carlton Davis and uh, to Darius Smith, but we did draft Halamade Hassan. We got Tylik Williams, and we also another defensive tackle, and then we also got a defensive end, from the draft, which that was pretty cool. We signed DJ Reed. He came from the New York Jets. And we're pretty much probably going to move Terrion Arnold to more of the nickel. And Meek Robinson pretty much is going to be the starter. I like the fact that we're going to have a little bit more line in the NFC, in the NFC North. And this is a team to me that I believe will possibly have a chance to make a Super Bowl run. I really feel that way. And with the retirement of Frank Ragnow, that will kind of pretty much hurt at the center position in the offensive line. And Nathaniel Lynn is what I was talking about, the defensive end we got in the draft. We picked up Zach Cunningham. He was a former Tennessee Titan and Houston Texans, I believe. So, yeah, that was a pretty nice, solid pickup. So, our defense will be okay. Our offensive line is the only thing that is a slight concern, mainly at the center. But I think we should be able to be pretty much fine at that end. But and we still got Davenport also. We got two of the best safeties in the league, and Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch. So I believe we're pretty much gonna be okay in a lot of ways. So I think that's gonna be a thing that's gonna pretty much be assured. And the other team that I believe is gonna make a run, I'm going to talk about the Chicago Bears. I love the moves that they made during the offseason, and I'm going to tell you why. They added Joe Thuney from the Kansas City Chiefs, Amale Zacchaeus from the Washington Commanders, and the Philadelphia Eagles, who has been who's been in the Super Bowl before, who has playoff experience. To go along to help the young Caleb Williams out, the young quarterback, and Caleb Williams out. I like the fact that they got Jonathan Owens, Dayo Adangbo, who was a former Indianapolis Colt. I like the fact that they made a lot of good moves overall to really shore a lot of the flaws and assure a lot what was going on to really hurt them during the offseason was the offensive line problems and defensively not being able to get a lot of turnover, generate a whole lot of turnovers. That was a big problem, and I feel like they addressed those things, and also the receiver position. I'm talking about the Chicago Bears, Jordan. I was saying I like the moves that they made in the offseason, and then before I was talking about my Detroit Lions. But yeah, getting back to what I was saying, I like the moves that the Chicago Bears made to help out Caleb Williams. Yeah, that came a long way to build. Yeah, yeah, they definitely did came a long way to build around it, and because with the additions of Joe Thuney, the guard for the former guard for the Kansas City Chiefs, and Alama Zacchaeus, who is pretty much more of like a slot more like a slot receiver who can really get around the field to go along with Aroma Adunzie and DJ Moore, who was pretty much he's his main number one. And then they, release Keenan Allen. I think that's gonna pretty much these core receivers are gonna pretty much help Caleb out. And the offensive line they address, I really like the way they did that. So yeah, I think the Chicago Bears is gonna be one of those teams, surprisingly, that's gonna throw their hat in the ring and throw a little bit of a wrench in the NFC North and really make it competitive. And trust what I believe, it can happen. Then we're gonna talk about the Green Bay Packers now. I didn't really think they really made a whole lot of moves. Really, they kind of kept pretty much the same lineup. I think that it's all about really the health and the trust and the health of Jordan Love right now. And of course, with they still got Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, and Romeo Doubs. The only thing that really is my concern is the health of Jalen Hurts and the health of the receivers also, because Christian Watson missed the last 8 games, I believe, due to a groin strain. I think either Jaden Reed or Romeo Doubs, I can't remember which one, they had missed some time due to some injuries. Quay Walker as well as Isaiah Simmons, one of them missed some time. So the health of the Green Bay Packers is the main thing. It's the concern I have. And I like the fact, and also defensively, the main concern is them stopping the run. Because the last 6 games of the season, they had a hard time slowing the run game down. And especially if you look in the wild card game, they had a hard time slowing down Saquon Barkley, which a lot of people had a hard time slowing down the Eagles and Saquon Barkley. So, but yeah, that was the main concern, is their run stopping ability defensively and able to get into the trenches. So they have a main concern, which I don't know if they really address overall. They can get after the passer with Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary, because they both led the team. They both were 2 tops in the league in sacks and tackles for loss. And also Xavier McKinney, who in my opinion is one of the best safeties in the National Football League. So you gotta give it up to them. So I don't know how we're gonna see from them, because they've been pretty much inconsistent, and we'll see if that's gonna be the main factor for them to be kind of they may start off a bit sporadic to me, because they're trying to get their legs back underneath them, but being away during the off-season time for so long, so they might start off a bit slow and a bit rusty, but I think they'll get themselves together and try to make things interesting. I don't know about them making a wild card, because it's gonna be a competitive dog race in that NFC. But I think it's gonna be a lot of tools, and they're coming off injuries, so that'd be the main thing I would say is a concern for them. I can see them possibly winning maybe 8 or 9 games. I could see the Lions possibly winning 12, and I could possibly see the Bears win 10 games. If they stay healthy and if the tools are right for them as far as their roster goes and the moves that they made. Now let's talk about the Minnesota Vikings, and I will say this: they got a lot of injuries to really be tantamount a rookie, more like a rookie quarterback in a sense, even though this is second year, but more or less first year starting is J.J. McCarthy, and the Packers got to come off. The Vikings gonna come off of injuries to the receiving core, from Justin Jefferson having a hamstring tear. That's gonna push him out for a time, and I believe Jordan Addison is gonna be suspended for the first 4 games, and then I think they had another. I think and Jordan Addison I think he's suspended because he violated some the team. I think he violated a protocol or something like that, and So the main few receivers that main few receivers that you're gonna pretty much see primarily is Jalen Naylor, and Tay Felton. At the beginning point of the year, T.J. Hawkins is gonna be involved a whole lot more. But defensively for the Vikings, they pretty much like last year was one of the tops in the league, and they've always had really good defenders. You know, but since the addition of Jonathan Allen from the Commanders and Javon Hargrave from the ex-Pittsburgh Steelers and the 49ers, I think that's going to add a lot more to that line, to that defensive line and defensive tackle position. So the Vikings going to really get after it this year after the passes. So they really pretty much was improving on that side. They added Isaiah Rodgers and also the former center for the Colts and guard for the Colts from Ryan Kelly and Will Fry. So their offensive line is going to be pretty stabilized, because they got two of the better old linemen, you know, and that's going to help them, and that's going to help the young J.J. McCarthy out. So I think that's going to help, it's going to put them a little bit more, it's going to give them a little bit more ease and more confidence as moving forward for them. But I don't know, because their receivers pretty much going to be a bit iffy. I think he's going to have a rough start. But later on down the road, I think you'll see, like probably during week 9 or week 10, you'll see him get into a mode and get ready to go. For talking about JJ McCarthy, I'm saying I think you'll start to get into a mode and be ready and learn the league and be involved as far as just being that environment and atmosphere. So yeah, I got the. But as far as I'm concerned for the North, I got the Lions winning the division. I got the Bears making a wild card, and the Packers and Vikings is a iffy situation, but on the outside, just slightly on the outside looking in. But it could be the other way around. We could possibly see the Packers may throw their hat in the ring if the cards are right and their receivers is healthy and Jordan Love's cuts down on the turnovers. I think they have something. They're gonna have something to say. Now, let's talk about the NFC South, and we're gonna start with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Atlanta Falcons kind of a bit of a ongoing situation right now. They got some really young core receivers in Kyle Pitts and Drake London. Darnell Mooney, who was a former Chicago Bear, and of course one of the studs, Bijan Robinson, who I believe is going to be one of the top 10 running backs in the league. I can see that happening, and a young Michael Penix Jr., who started the last 6 games of the season, and he looked pretty good. He looked pretty solid. I think for them, enough experience and enough games going to be playing under his belt, and taking over for Kirk Cousins, who Kirk Cousins pretty much sat down for the rest of the year because of his turnovers and his low completion percentage and passer rating. Probably some of the lowest of his career. And that kind of is a fault because of, him just pressing too much, or him kind of not just like him pressing too much, or him just overthinking it at times, and kind of like not having that kind of clocking to really understand, like, hey, you got to get rid of the ball, or just throw it for another down, throw it away for another down. But that kind of is the thing that is going to be the problem for Atlanta. Atlanta's like, hey, do I want to risk continuing to go with Michael Penix Jr., even though he did look solid, or and just have Cousins be just that mentor, or you want to go in the direction where Cousins, you're going to go back to Cousins if Michael Penix ends up struggling and ends up playing real bad. So that's going to be the dilemma for them, and the question mark is that QB situation. Defensively, they picked up a lot of guys that I really did like. Leonard Floyd, they picked him up from the Rams. Jordan Fuller, Picked him up from the Carolina Panthers, and Jamal Agnew at the receiver. As a backup, he used to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and that's pretty much all I got for them. Atlanta is kind of a wild card, it's a mystery. You know, they have games where they be on fire, they be absolutely playing and balling out. But then there's games where you forget that they're even competing, that they're even giving it the best that they have. And I don't know, I don't see them doing as well as people would think. I still think they got a couple years away to make a instant to make the NFC South competitive. I can see them just kind of winning like maybe 6 games at the most. Probably possibly go 6-11. The Carolina Panthers. I'll talk about them real quick. So I think for them is they still got again just like the Falcons got some ways to go. Um, they're still on the up and ups, but they do have probably some of the more talented talented core defensively. J.C. Horn is a stud. Cam Johnson is a stud defensively. Um, Derek Brown is pretty decent. Um, Trayvon Mooring is okay. But offensively, you know, with Thielen, who's okay, he has some veteran presence. Bryce Young, who pretty much kind of looked a lot more look like more of a upcoming quarterback that came from Alabama that was pretty much heralded at the time as a guy who's going to be coming is going to make the league more promising. One of these going to be one of these young QBs is going to make the league more promising. He just got to get some more reps. Had to get a lot more reps and had to get a lot more playing time with the starters. And I feel like he got that later on. And I feel like his numbers kind of show that he could get there. You know, just get more playing time and hopefully the system because they got rid of their old coach and he got a new coach now, and it kind of just made him feel more confident, feel more involved. So but I still think they got more years to wait. I guess I can only see them maybe getting maybe five wins. I don't see them doing too much. Um, all right. So last is the New Orleans Saints, and the Saints, man, they have been an absolute wreck, man. They've been absolutely a wreck, a dumpster fire, man. The past couple of years. You know, they've had so many changes. They got rid of Dennis Allen, which was a great thing. Needed to let him go. They had an interim coach take over. And you would think the Saints, after all these talented guys from, Chase Young and Cam Jordan and Brandon Cooks and Rashid Shaheed and Alvin Kamara, and I believe Derek Carr is gone. They got Spencer Rattler and Jake Hayner. They saw a lot of promise and then they picked up Justin Reed from the Chiefs. And they still got Demario Davis. So the Saints gonna have a thing where, as a team, they're gonna be all right. They're gonna be okay. I like their core receivers that they added. They're gonna be all right, but I just think that again, like a lot of these teams in the the last few, the last couple of teams, they gonna have a long years away to really make it invested, make it interesting. And here's gonna be the team that I believe is gonna do a lot of things. It's gonna win the division. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, let me tell you something, man. The Buccaneers have made some great moves. They've re-signed Godwin and Mike Evans. They picked up veteran president Teddy Bridgewater to go along with Baker Mayfield. Now, the additions that they made defensively was really good. Adding Hassan Reddick which was really, really good with them to go along with Levante David, Jamel Dean, and Deion Jones. So defensively, they're going to be really on point. Um, Zion McCullum is coming into his own. Um, to still go along with Vita Vea. And I like the fact that they still kept that core offensive line. And they also got some under number 2 and number 3 and 4 receivers in Palmer and Sterling Shepard. And Baker Mayfield pretty much had one of his best years, at the quarterback position of his career, man. Like he had over 4,500 passing yards and 40 touchdowns. He just had an really incredibly good year. Just kind of bad that they didn't really do as much in the postseason wise to really throw themselves to make a challenge. But I think this year they're gonna win a division. I think they're gonna make some noise when it gets to the playoffs. This is the team I can get them winning 11 games. I think they can really pull that off. 11, 12 games. I think they can pull that off, man, to be one of the best teams in the NFC, man. I really think that they got it. I think they really got it done with the additions, a couple additions defensively, keeping the same core of receivers and offense. Offensive line's really pretty playing stud is a stud. And Rashad White and Bucky Irvin, that's really a good 1-2 punch. Probably one of the better 1-2 punches they got in the league. So I think that's gonna be absolutely a team that you got to be looking out for. I can see the Bucks winning a lot of games this year and really, really adding to make that NFC conference really, really interesting. So yeah, those are my predictions for the NFC South. The Buccaneers, I got them winning 12 games. I got the Saints winning seven games out of 10, and I got the Falcons and Panthers finishing third and fourth. I don't think both teams are gonna pretty much do anything at this point. So yeah, that's my predictions for the NFC South and my predictions for the NFC North. And tell me what you guys think down in the comment section. I am gonna be out of here, and either Friday or Saturday, depending on how my day is, I'm gonna pretty much do the rest of the NFC, talk about the East, and talk about the NFC West. So be on the lookout for those videos coming soon. As I am out of here, I appreciate you guys for watching. And thank you guys for watching. I'm out of here. Peace.